Welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen, where we talk with a Pacific expert on something along the food system. And this episode of In the Kitchen is part of a series we're doing with FAO on digitalization and natural resource management. And this has emerged as a critical point of conversation during the COVID era and post-COVID, when we've really been forced to review all of our ways of producing and consuming food, and the food narrative in a very general sense. So for this episode, I've got a crazy friend of mine in Samoa, Ms. Mele Maualaivao, and she is a farmer, and she's also one of the leads of SWAG, Samoan Women Association of Growers, and they have a real story to tell. Mele, awesome to see you. I'm really
Thank you so
stoked to,
much.
yeah, it's really good to see you. I mean, this is crazy. I always see you in Samoa, but we've got to do this for this moment. So I'm just going to read your bio because it's really interesting, actually, because I know that you work with UN Women, so you've got so many hats. You're a farmer. You're the founder of SWAG. You work with UN Women. You kind of sit across the whole development globe in many ways. And in terms of farming, you are a coffee and cocoa farmer. Is that correct?
Well, it really started with my father, who moved back here about 25 years ago. And he's a soil scientist by academic training, but always believed in investing in the land. So I really learned a lot of my farming practices from him. And he was not an advocate for pesticides or herbicides. So really
Mhm.
wanted us to use natural methods, natural techniques. So before the term even organic became popular, we were just adopting traditional practices, the ways that Samoans farmed before pesticides and herbicides and chemicals came to our shores.
Mm.
But it's been a beautiful way to be connected to the land. And with COVID, what we've seen is that there have been so many people who, either because their businesses have not been able to flourish under the conditions, if they're in tourism sector or hospitality sector, have all returned to the land as a way of not only nourishing their themselves, but their communities, and creating businesses for themselves. So it's been a beautiful way to acknowledge what we all appreciate, which is the soil in which we live.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of strong threads there. One is that, or by going organic, you're actually becoming more Samoan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that that story gets told enough. I know that women in business use that, but I don't know that that's understood in the wider organic world. But that's a really cool thread, because I see often organizations tick the Indigenous knowledge box, but you know that actually Indigenous knowledge, the systems should flow through everything we do, because they are the ultimate guide for wellness and agriculture and the whole lot. The systems approach to knowledge, but also swag. So let's get to swag, because I've yet to have a swag experience, because of course I've not been to Samoa while swag has been swagging. So give us a little bit about swag.
Oh my goodness. So swag really started, I'd say at around 2017, 2018. And it was my good friend, Friesne Ramoni and Flores New. And we were just three girls who were farmers and daughters of farmers, and wanted to help our families by selling some of our products at the Sunday market. And of course, it's not an easy schedule. You have to show up at midnight and you have to wait until 4:30 in the morning. So having a farmer schedule allows you to remove any of the pretense or the fabulosity that a young woman might assume. The farmer's life is hard and the hours are harder. But from that, what we noticed is that there were so many women involved in farming. But when we would go to agriculture meetings, or when we would see, development projects, women weren't recognized, or they weren't
Mm,
acknowledged as farmers per se.
mm,
And that's why we use the term grower,
mm,
because if you're a grower, there's no gender associated with that. Whereas farmer, unfortunately, is associated with a man. And there is no concept of land. Most people assume if you're
mm,
a farmer, you have to have 2 to 200 acres. But when you're a grower, as long as you've got a box of soil and some seeds, you can grow something. And from that, you can take that to the next step and turn that into something and sell that. So that's part of the reason why we use the term growers, to remove any of those uh,
mm. So,
preconceptions.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it removes the male dominance. I mean, farming has traditionally been a male-dominated industry by perception, but maybe not in reality. Is that what you
Well,
think is the case?
it was also for women as well, because they say, oh, I'm not a farmer. And I said, but you grow tomato, cucumber, all these things around your house. And then you turn them into different products and you sell them at the market. Of course, you're farming. You are
Mm,
growing things.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that's why we just wanted to use that term to let people know that the door is open to everyone who can
mm,
grow. There are no
yeah, yeah.
barriers.
I guess a lot of the Ministry of Agriculture efforts have been around large-scale farming for export, whereas women farm to feed and to bring money into the family, you know, so that's it. So that wasn't viewed maybe as credible or as worthy as the big industry situation with the male farmers. Is that part of what you think you're
Oh,
addressing?
absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
there's always the concept that export equals success. Um,
Mm,
but COVID taught us when you can't export, it's the people who are making money on the ground every day. That's your success because that
mm,
guarantees that food gets on the table. So yes, there was that presumption as well. I think there was also a notion that if you're not growing a certain amount of something, therefore you are not really a formal business, right?
right.
You're not doing it for real. You're just doing it to make money to support your family. But as you know, 80% of informal business in Samoa is run by women. So that
Yeah.
means 80% of the economy, which isn't really being recognized, is women doing the hard yards to make sure that food gets on the table.
I mean, shocking that actually, even the way you just framed it, because we're so used to it, just to feed the family. Isn't that the most important thing there is?
I know, I know. And you know Samoan families, they're big and they have
Yeah,
big
that's right.
appetites.
That's right.
So
Export
that's a
level
lot of
appetites.
feeding.
That's right. And so tell me about the market because I've been hearing about value-added products, about not just
Mm.
not just stuff from the land, not just crops, but people are entrepreneurializing their crops. Tell me about that. I mean, I can't wait to get there, but take me for a walk through the swag market.
Well, it's been really exciting. Part of it was born from a site visit. I went to visit a little old lady in the village, and we just had a big storm the night before. So she had this mango tree with all green mango that had fallen to the ground, and there was about 200 or 300 of them. And I said, "Oh, what are you going to do with all those mango in English?" And so
Mm,
she said, "Oh, I'm going to feed them to the pigs." And I said, oh, but if you make that into chutney, you can sell it for 10 tala a jar. So I said, we're looking at 3,000 talas worth of product on the floor there that you're going to feed to your pigs. And so she
mm,
said, but I don't know how to make chutney. I don't know. And I said, okay. And from that, that's where Siamu Fest came.
mm,
Because when you don't have a culture of preservation, things like chutneys and jams, these are not your normal practice. Now we have siamu popo, which is, you know,
yeah,
is
yeah,
coconut, but we don't have things that are prepared in a way that are tasty and also meant to have a long shelf life.
right.
And what we learned is that when you have a mango during mango season, you can sell it for 50 cent. But if you turn
Yeah,
it into a jam or a chutney, you can sell it for 10 tala. That is a huge profit margin.
absolutely. And you're
And you're
giving it a
selling
year,
it, yeah,
yeah,
year
you're
round.
giving a year-round economy. Exactly. It's really smart. So this is the cuisine part, but of course I love because I this is my lane, right? So tell me about some of the products that you've got at the market.
Well, you know, what's really great is that we took these courses out to rural Samoa, Savaii, the south side of the island. So we have people who make pickles, who make sweet pineapple chili sauce,
Mm,
who make different types of jams. I had one of our vendors, she said, oh, I didn't have enough pineapple, I didn't have enough papaya, and I didn't have enough passion fruit. So I had to mix it all together to make enough. And then we tasted it and we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
That
So
yeah, that's the thrill of the kitchen, isn't it? Is the
yeah.
innovation and making do,
And
the
the
mother of
marketplace
invention.
is the
Yeah.
perfect place to experiment with that. Because
Mm,
if you're
mm,
doing orders, you think, oh, it has to be exactly what the client wants.
mm,
But if you
mm.
just have a marketplace where you can put it on the table and say, give it a go, then you actually learn from your clients what they like. And it allows you to be more experimental.
And this is really, working with the Samoan domestic market, correct?
Yeah.
currently? Because you've
But
not had tourists.
well, I mean, like I said, we started this in around 2018, 2019. So when measles happened for us, we actually had a pre-COVID. So that was late 2019. But by 2019, we already had jams and we had lots of people
Mm,
coming to the market and saying, oh, I want to buy some to just take home for
mm,
someone. So we already had tourists
right,
purchasing our products, but we had not created them with tourists in mind. So we had to refine some of the ways that we supported our vendors, helping
mm,
them learn to understand branding, how to create a logo, how to make your packaging look attractive, and also how to explain it to somebody who's not Samoan so that
right.
they can still have all of those, the imagination and the right synapses flaring, when you
Yeah,
describe
yeah,
something yummy and everybody's, ooh, I've got to have a go at that,
yeah, yeah.
learning how to sell your product.
So this is the other thing I love about your about swag is that you're not an overall brand. You foster brands within the swag
Right.
umbrella, so to speak. Can you speak to that a bit and why that is? Because usually the industrial approach is to say we own you,
Right.
right? And you're doing the opposite.
Well, of course, we don't want to own anyone. We want a
Mm,
person to own their own product, own their own brand, and be celebrated for that. So
mm,
yes, you will never find a swag product per se. You will only find swag members, people who have learned through swag how to create their own business, how to market their own business, and how also to put it online so that they can
mm,
reach a broader audience. We really just wanted to have a lot of different women who felt either challenged because they weren't sure if they were allowed into these spaces. It can be very intimidating if you don't have a sister next to you saying, oh, yeah, it's not so difficult to fill out a form to register your business.
right,
Or,
right.
oh, this is how I mean, we do simple things in our chat group. Someone's like, where do I get cheap labels? And everybody says, oh, go to this place. They're much cheaper than the
Mm,
other ones. Simple networking that just
mm,
guarantees you don't have to be alone in the process of creating your own
mm.
business.
So it's single businesses. I mean, this is the heart of the artisanal food movement, isn't it? Is it's not a big brand. It's these bespoke brands that have these distinct qualities and distinct stories that are attached to the people behind the product. I mean, I just think that when tourism is back in force in Samoa, you guys are going to be swamped.
Well, I'm excited. Samoa Tourism Authority has been so fabulous in supporting us, giving us
Mm,
their fale, their cultural village, which is beautiful. It's airy, it's clean, it's safe. We're dealing with women vendors. A lot of them are over 60. So we're always wanting to make sure that our market spaces are safe for them more than anything
great,
else. And they
great.
put us on the tourism calendar now. So now any tourist who comes to Samoa will eventually discover what swag is just flicking through the options.
Great.
And it's also, because we've already helped everybody practice talking to somebody who's not from here. We still have expats coming to our market. There's already that opportunity to practice the language of discussing your product to someone, explaining why it's
Mm,
different. And of course, they are different because these women are all different in terms of their
yeah,
personalities, their taste profiles. And so you could have the same chutney, but it will taste completely different at three different tables because there's
yeah, yeah,
three
that's
different
great.
women making them.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And so, what's next for you? What is your next? I mean, are you at a kind of a perfect growth stage, or do you plan to grow? What does future swag look like?
Oh, goodness. Well, it's a good thing you asked. I mean, we've been really blessed. We've received funding from the government of Australia and also from the government of Samoa through the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. So they're recognizing women.
Mm,
but it's really to help our vendors be more of that farm to table
mhm,
individuals. So the funding from Ministry of Agriculture will help us give lessons on how to grow vanilla, how to grow dragon fruit, pineapple. These are certain products that are already high revenue on their own, but they're also perfect for value adding to
great.
any other products. So it's a way to link it to that. And then, of course, through the government of Australia, it's really about empowering our members, making
Mm,
sure that they have strengthened business capacity, are able to understand what social media is, how to manipulate it for their particular purposes, and also learning how to tap into online markets like Maua app or Makeki online or
mm,
Shopify. There's different spaces for different levels of ability, and that's also what we're trying to make clear
right.
to our vendors. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You only need to do what's comfortable for you. And then that way it's not overwhelming. And I think
Right.
that's what we're trying to prevent women from experiencing for so many centuries. We've been told, well, if you don't do it this way, you're just not doing it right. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want to tell
exactly.
everybody it's your way or the highway.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, we interviewed Sam from Mawa a couple of weeks ago, and it was just, there's so much more than meets the eye with what he does, and I was sure that
Mhm.
you guys would be working with him because fundamentally he could take with his Mawa app capacity, he's digitalizing local economies
Oh,
and
yeah.
really creating whole local food systems, which is super impressive. So, uh, is that where you're going as well? Because you could basically go online as well, couldn't you, entirely?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, when Sam was in the design phase, we had lots of discussions because he really wanted to hear how do women on the ground, how would they benefit from this? Because he knew that if you don't actually consult with the individuals who need it, you're not going to design something that's useful to them.
Mm,
So I really appreciated Maua app for being sensitive to the realities of what women on the market needed. And I said, not every woman can gravitate towards the market. If she is in her village because she's got little ones or she's
mm.
got elderly to take care of, you need to be able to figure out ways to get the market to her
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that she
absolutely.
still has the means to be able to earn income, but she doesn't have to have the added expense of travel, the anxiety of leaving family, and then potentially having to stay in Apia where the larger, or Apia, Salilolonga, wherever the larger markets are, and being
Mm,
exposed to dangers that way. And Sam is a beautiful person, but he is also the brother of many strong and intelligent women.
that's right. That's
So,
right.
so I have no doubt that his respect for women has just manifested through Mawa app. So it's a
That's
beautiful thing.
fantastic. And so this is so great, Mele. I mean, I can't wait to come over and get there. I mean, I also love the idea of Samoan cuisine is being invigorated through this because it's really just what you do with what's on the land that makes sense to you culturally in many
Oh
ways.
yeah.
Um, what this is development at its best, right? This is localizing economies, empowering local entrepreneurs, completely localized food system. What would you say to governments and donors and institutions? I mean, you've been supported by the Australian government and by UN Women, I believe, and a couple of others. Investment is needed to develop systems and infrastructure like you have. What would you say to the donors? If you had a moment to speak to the donors directly, what would that word be? Because
One
donors are
word,
investors, actually, it's investors.
right.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Now you put me on the
Not
spot
not one
because you know
word,
me.
not one
I'm,
word.
I can't
I would never
imagine
get
one
that.
word.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that more times than not, because we are not profit motivated, we are motivated by our families, our communities, our environment, that there's a much deeper investment for us to be successful. So we're not thinking profit lines per se. We're thinking family lines and
Mm,
and where we're growing our products and how we're taking care of our land. So what I would say is that we're probably the safest investment because we don't want to fail and we can't. We don't have an
mm,
option because we have to
mm,
take care of our families. But because of that, we really do need to be treated as equals. You
mm,
know, when we're called beneficiaries, we already get reduced and we're not
mm,
recognized the way one might if you're a business owner. Because I always have to remind the vendors, I said, we use the term vendor because we're selling stuff here in the market, but you're entrepreneurs, you are business owners.
mm,
And you don't have to have a formal piece of paper or a degree for that to be true. true. And I think that's really just what we're hoping, that more and more of the donors out there recognize that we may not be participating in the formal economics, but we are absolutely holding it up through the informal side. So it really is
Absolutely.
about helping us transition from informal to formal in a way that recognizes that we have to be these mechanisms need to facilitate ways to allow women to participate. Because if you don't think that you're welcome in a building where you have to sign a piece of paper to register as a business, then you will not go there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those are the little incremental steps that guarantee that women step from informal to formal.
Little incremental steps, but they are massive barriers in people's personal lives.
Yeah, they're
Massive barriers.
scary.
We can all come up with equivalents in our own lives about things we just haven't done because it's intimidating. You know, I think as you speak, I'm mindful of the word sustainability because it's I find that I face that word a lot, and the framing of sustainability is quite limited. Usually it's around an economic perspective, but you're looking at sustainability of a society, of a group of entrepreneurs, of family incomes. So sustainability may need to be reframed in the Pacific context.
Well, there's no doubt COVID taught us that. The market existed just because of COVID. We weren't
Mm,
doing a formal swag market before COVID happened. But when the Sunday markets were shut down and all of those larger convening spaces were no longer available, we still had members saying, but I have to earn money every week.
yeah.
It's not an option for me. And that's why we created the market in the first place. And
Mm,
from that, it just began to thrive and flourish and grow. And so that had everything to do with the fact that we didn't have resources coming from
yeah.
overseas to help support the economy. So sustainability is really just about
Mm,
accessibility and creativity.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, really good to see you. I can't wait to get to swag when I come to Samoa to the market. I love a food market. It gets me aroused. You know, this is the part of the Pacific that I love the most is the markets, and to hear that there's a contemporary, value added, really exciting market happening is thrilling for me. I'm also stoked, Mele, that we're including swag in an episode of Pacific Island Food Revolution season
Ah,
3.
the ladies are so
Really,
excited. You don't know.
yeah,
You're used
we
to
are
being a
too.
TV star, but they are not used to being on TV. So they're all incredibly excited. Like I
Wonderful.
said, you don't realize the impact you can make until all of a sudden your family sees you on the TV screen, and it's a huge honor for us. We're so grateful that you'd include us.
Yeah, no, we're thrilled as well. It's just such a unique story, and it's a story that should be told because you've actually developed a model that's relevant in many countries in the Pacific around everything that you do. So thank you for everything you do. Really good to catch up. Hope to see you in person at some time soon and have some of your coffee and your cocoa.
Well, I'll probably
And
be seeing you soon, and absolutely happy to share a
yeah,
few tastes
and
of Samoa.
awesome. And of course, lots of love to all of our common friends, of which there are many. And my thanks to the Australian and New Zealand government for supporting Pacific Island Food Revolution through our onward journey and through our growth. And I just want to also add that we are collaborating with the Asia Foundation a lot now. So Asia Foundation has come in as a valuable partner for the growth of Pacific Island Food Revolution itself. So awesome to see you, Mele. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
And see you
much.
soon.
Faftai
Yeah,
lava, vinaka
yeah.
vakalevu.
Naka.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.